Well, hello, everybody. Hope everyone is having a good day. We are getting ready to do our February mini make it series insert. This is the excuse me, the Lucky You insert. Um, so welcome everybody. Um, I am focused today. We are not going to go over the 30 minutes. Last month was a crazy amount of time. Like, I knew I was going to go over just a little bit because there was so much detail in the candy, but I did not expect to go over that much, and I apologize. I was very gabby during the video. So we are not going to let that happen again. Alright, so I'm going to get my colors out. Let's see, white, black, greens, gold, and gold. Maybe get it a light brown. Okay. So this one's super fun. It's a little bit of a bigger one, which I didn't realize that the height of it doesn't sit in my shelf as well as I'd like to be. So I'm kind of mad that I didn't think about that beforehand, but it is what it is. It's not too much bigger, but this little cute, we've got a Lucky You tag and the sign end of the rainbow. Now, I really think that if somebody has the patience for it, this painted in rainbow colors would be amazing. Amazing. But that is something that would require a little more time, I think. Let's just make sure everything looks okay. All right, so let's talk about what you're going to get first before we get started. What you're going to get versus what you're going to need. We've got the insert here, guys. This just tells you what you're getting, and then has the QR code that takes us to the group. So, you know, if you're sitting down to craft, and maybe you're like me and are part of a bunch of different craft groups, whatever, this will take you right to the group so you can get to it fairly quickly. Make sure that you open your bag package and inspect it. So we are on the next month will be the last month that I have the funky bags. And then we're going to get back to our pretty packaging, so bear with me. But open and inspect all your items. Let me know right away if anything is missing or damaged, and we will get a replacement shipped out to you. Would love to see pictures. You guys are doing great on sharing your pictures. They all are turning out so cute, and I'm so excited for that. I'm so grateful you guys are sharing because I think they're just adorable. And I'm loving all the ways that you're using these and displaying them in your lives. So the tutorial is going to be available in the Facebook as a replay. So if you're catching this on the replay, you can watch it here, or you can watch it on the YouTube channel as well. Some links here for updating your billing if you need to, address, and then if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, then you want to just message me directly. My email is right there. Alrighty. So I did something a little bit different this month, and I think this is going to work out great for us in terms of shipping and making sure that pieces arrive perfect. Okay, so what I've done is, this one fell out, but what I've done is I've created these two little sheets or boxes, and I put all the pieces in the boxes, and then I created little tabs, they're called, and the tabs are holding the pieces in ever so slightly. Some of your pieces might be wiggly and just fall out right away. That's okay. But some of them, you know, I could probably give this a good shake and the pieces would kind of fall out. And some of them are going to need just a little bit of wiggling to get them out. What this does is it allows me to package them just like this. It's like one big card. I wrap it and I put them in the envelope and we're good to go. And they're all protected. I don't have little letters floating around inside the packaging. And I think this is going to be the way to go. It just makes it super easy. And also it makes it easy for me to pull off the laser and making sure I don't forget any pieces while packaging. So I think it's a win-win. Let me know what you think. If you're having issues with it for any reason, let me know, okay? But the idea here is, like I said, that one already fell out. You're just going to take it and you're going to wiggle it. And it should just pop right out. Some of them have 2 tabs if they're a little bit bigger. Some of them you can pop from the back. You just kind of play with it. There's a little bit of a wiggle. And you can almost see where the tabs are if you look at the back. Like I can see there's a little spot where the laser didn't go over. And that's what that tab is. It's barely holding on in there. And I think this one's got a second one down here maybe. But once you get that just wiggling, they just pop right out. Now when you're working on the letters, you do want to just take a little more time and be a little more careful. I usually use my finger now and kind of just slowly press all of the pieces out. I kind of try and get them all. Now if you don't have fingernails, something pokey like this would work. You just kind of press it and get it out of that slot. Okay, so just a little press, kind of pop around, pushing on all of the pieces. Like don't just hit one spot and then keep pressing on that. So I'm kind of just bouncing around between the front, the back there, and there we go. So this one, it looks like this is released. I can give that a good wiggle, but I don't want to press too hard, otherwise my E is going to break because it's still attached with this tab right here. I'm working from the back and pressing to the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of give this a little bit of a wiggle, kind of pressing in. Takes a little time, just go slow, and there we go, it just popped out. The rainbow is one big letter, it's all connected. So I am going to kind of go up on top, bottom of this W, and then I'm going to do the same over here, top, bottom of the R. I felt that release, so I'm going to go back to the W. So light pressure is all it takes, and then that pops right out. Okay? So just take your time on that, and then let me know if, you know, you guys are just like, I just can't get these out, this isn't working for me, and we'll kind of reassess this system here. But once you've got your pieces popped out, you can toss this away. Now these ones are a little bigger, so they're not as delicate. Just give it a little wiggle, jiggle, jiggle, wobble, wobble, wibble. There we go. And then the big one should just barely fall out, fairly easy. Alrighty? Okay, so you have your base. You have your stack of coins. This is the hat band. This is your hat buckle. You've got the shamrock that sits there on top of the hat. And then we have the top to the sign. And then the letters sit on the sign. Oops. End of. This is our tag. And then this is, you've got 3 floating coins. You can kind of just place one anywhere on the coins. You can set it up here. I just stuck mine right on top there, kind of in the middle. And then these 2 I placed on the back. So they're glued to the back of my board, which gives us just that little dimension that there's some more coins back there. And then you have your piece of jute for attaching your tag. And then we also included a little pouncer or daughter. This is a sponge daughter, and I used this to create some little polka dots on the hat. You don't have to use it. You can save it for another project. If you don't want to do polka dots on the hat, that's okay. Okay? Alrighty. And then those of you with paint, obviously have your paint, your brushes, and your glue that came in the kit, and they all are colors that correspond with the colors that I used here. All right. Just checking comments real quick before we get started. I should have included the time it took me to put these out. I guess that's going to be something that we need to think about too. But let's get this timer started. Let me make sure I got my water and everything good. All right. So let's start this timer. Let's get our 30 minutes going. And we're going to start by taping down all of our pieces. All right, so I'm putting all of my coins and my buckle on this one because I'm going to paint all of these gold. So I try and coordinate my colors on my tape if I can. It doesn't always work out that way. Those are going to be green. And then this is going to be white. And you know what? I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to pause this because I forgot we want to try and zoom in. I almost forgot. That was a request. Give me just a second. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to set our timer, and I like to paint everything first with their base coat, and then I let it dry, and then come back with my second coat and work that way. So, I forgot dark brown. These are the colors I'm using. I'm using a dark brown faux stain for the sign. I'm using a golden bounty for the coins. And then I'm going to go on top with a metallic. Having the yellow underneath really helps with metallic. If you've never used metallic before, it's fairly transparent. So I always like to go under with a base coat of a similar color, and then this will really pop. I used this for the horseshoe, but I might just go with gold. I might do something a little different just because that's how I tend to work. I'm using a dark green. This is called Sweet Basil for the hat and the shamrock. And then I used a little bit of this Peaceful Forest for, I kind of mixed these two to create these very subtle polka dots, which I'll talk about. We've got white for the band and the highlights and the letters. And then black for some detail lines. So there's our colors. All right, we're going to start with our brown. Put that right there so we can see it. Being zoomed in like this, I won't be able to show you my paint palette as well, but that's okay. I think you get the gist of that. If I'm doing any mixing or anything on my palette, I'll let you know. But I think we're going to be okay. So with this is the only part here of the sign that is showing. So I am just going to use a small flat and paint that with a brush. I'm going to go right into the top part there and down into the coin because we're not going to see it. The coins sit on top, and then that also has a top there. Okay. And then I'm going to take that same brown, and I think I used a baby white. Let me switch it up. I'm using a baby wipe here, and I'm just going to rub this on to get that faux stain look. I want it to look like just dark wood. And it has those really pretty score marks in there that give us those grain lines. But doing this faux stain method just gives it to us a little bit more. Okay? And that's all that's the dark brown. Then I'm going to go to my Golden Bounty. I'm going to use a makeup wedge for this. And when you're using the makeup wedge, remember a little paint goes a long way. So you don't want to have a lot of paint on your makeup wedge. Otherwise, it's going to fall off the edges of your piece. So what I do is I take this and then I'll dab it on a clean spot on my plate. This helps the makeup wedge soak in that paint, but it also gives us a nice clean surface to paint with so we don't have a lot of excess paint. Okay, and then it's just a tap, tap, tap. Using about a medium pressure. Tap, tap, tap. Now, as you're painting your pieces, you'll notice that there's score marks indicating the gold edges, like the edges of the gold pieces, and then the shamrock on the top. So if you use a small amount of paint and you tap, tap, tap on, usually you won't fill those score marks up. But if you do, if you've got a little heavy on the paint, use a pointer tool like this, and you can just pull that paint out. Just kind of slowly go around those lines and pull that paint out. If you don't have a tool like this, a tack or a needle works just as good. I'm going to go in with my green. Now for my tag here, I used a makeup or a baby wipe and did a stained look on this piece. I just lightly came across here, and I'm going to put a second coat on as well. Now the other thing I did to help really pull out that engrave is I cleaned it out. So what I mean by that is I'm going to just take a clean brush, I'm going to dip it in water, tap out the water, and I'm just going to kind of brush around the letters. And what I'm doing is cleaning out anything in that lettering, any dust or anything. I think it just really helps pull that dark lettering out. You'll remove some of that paint around that, but I'm going for that rustic look, so I'm okay with that. But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to come in with a second coat here after this dries and darken that up anyways. So that's another way you can kind of clean out those engravings. All right, let's get this shamrock painted. So Montana is getting tons of snow. I don't know if all of Montana is. We have gotten so much. Oh, is it still snowing out? No, it looks like it's kind of cleared up. So put in the comments your weather today if you catch this video. I'd love to hear what you guys got going on. Oh, I had green. So let's go back to my green. I'm going to flip this on this side. Don't be afraid to work on your pieces upside down, right side, left side, whatever is best for you to access the piece the best. When I was teaching canvas painting, that was a big thing, was just moving your canvas so that you could have the best brush strokes possible. And I carried that through to this. I'm not afraid to just flip my piece upside down, right side, left side, to really have the best access to the pieces I need. I think I grabbed a different green, you guys. Look at my greens. I sure did. This is my darker green. That's alright. It'll still work. All's good. It'll look just a little different. Alright, so I've got everything painted green. The next thing is, I'm going to do this yellow. I'm going to do a gold horseshoe this time. You could do a black, you could paint it green, you could paint it any color you guys want. I'm going to try gold this time. Mix it up. Do one thing different. I guess my greens are different. And then my little band here is going to be white. So if you guys are posting pictures and you think about it, I'd love to hear how long these little guys are taking. Like, I want to know if what I'm saying is true. Is it taking you guys about 30 minutes, or does it take you a little longer? Because this is new this year, I'm always up for suggestions. So don't be afraid to let me know how things are going, how things aren't going, and all the things. Because I really want to continue this next year with a new series. Like, I just envision this being something like every year we get some new type of inserts and new frames, and just have lots of fun with it. But I want to make sure that, unfortunately, this first year is always my test year and figuring everything out. So please let me know how I can do it better. What's working, what's not working. Okay. We do have a little bit of a lag on the Facebook side. Hopefully once the video's done though, you don't see that lag. It's unfortunate. I'm not sure why that keeps doing that to me. Which, if I was watching it live, I'd be super frustrated. So I apologize. Okay. All right, so before I go on, I am going to sand this down a little bit. I'm not sure where my sanding block is, but that's all right. Everything is dry. Smoothing it out. If you haven't heard me talk about wood and painting wood, when wood gets wet, it has tiny little fibers. Those little fibers tend to stand up and cause it to feel a little rough. If that's the case, just give it a quick sanding, just a very, very light sanding, nothing heavy that you're going to remove your finish, just enough to knock those fibers down and get that nice smooth finish back. When you're doing your letters, most of the time I don't even sand those unless they feel really rough or they look really terrible, then I will. But just take your hand on top and just go one way. Don't try and do this or circle or anything, because this is just going to just do that and you could possibly break your letters. So for delicate pieces like letters, I typically just do one way. And that's usually all I need, is just one swipe, knock those fibers down, and we're good to go. If you need a couple more swipes, come back, do it one way. All right, let's go back to the beginning. We are going to grab our baby wipe and put a second coat on the wood post there. I don't think I'm going to put a second coat on this. I like the darkness of this, so we're going to be good with that. I did want the post to look a little darker, so that's good. Just because it's in the shadow of the sign, that kind of gives us that dimension there. Okay, so then let's go to our yellows. Now, really, you don't need a second coat of yellow if you're going to put the gold on top, but since I have it out, I'm going to just get a good solid gold on there. There was a couple areas on my coins where I could still see the wood kind of peeking through, so we're going to get a good solid coat on that. We'll also do the horseshoe. I'm not one to typically decorate for St. Patty's Day. None of my kids were really into it, and even when they were younger, they even didn't like wearing green on St. Patty's Day. Like that, it's fine. I'm good. Don't need to worry about it. So never really decorated for it, but I sure love painting St. Patty's Day stuff. I really like green. I think it's just super fun. And I love that this little guy I can put up in my office, and he's just, this is my holiday decor. I love it. With bigger pieces like this, I tend to use my makeup wedge like a brush. Like I wipe it on. It goes a little bit faster. I don't recommend that for smaller pieces, but if you're using that makeup wedge for multiple pieces, large and small, when you're working on that big piece, just swipe away and get that paint on there. All right, dun, 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 dun. Put a second coat of white on our band here. I'm gonna have to Google how to fix my Facebook stuff. So I feel like I should not have this slow of a video. And are we still just blah? Like, I think it's frozen again. Or it's so laggy. That's a bummer. All right, let's bring out the gold. Everything's got a second coat on it, so let's have some fun with some highlights and some detail work. So I'm going to start with the gold, and I'm going to come in and go right over that yellow with that gold. It's really going to look so pretty. But, you know, gold is such a hard color to take photos of, because any sort of light, you have to get it just at the right angle, otherwise it just looks like yellow. It's very frustrating. So I don't usually use it on my pieces, because when I take pictures of it, it looks like I'm using just a really bright yellow, and I'm not one to use super bright yellow. I like the more muted yellow, so that's kind of, you know. And it's hard to show in a print, but it sure does look pretty in person, so I recommend it. Okay, now before I go on, I'm going to do some highlighting. Let's get a smaller brush here. So I'm going to use a small, it's not necessarily a liner brush, but it's smaller round. And I'm going to take my gold here, and I'm going to grab some of it, bring it to the side, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that brown, and I'm going to create a dark gold. Just want to darken that up. And the reason being is I want to create some shadows on my coins, especially where that line is. We're going to just bring that dark gold right in on that line. It's going to be super subtle. It doesn't have to be super dark to create a shadow. So I start out super light and then let it dry and see how it goes. Now if I want it darker, I can always add more brown later, but paint typically dries darker than what it normally is. So we've got some high shadows there. And then I'm going to also just kind of bring some dark into those shamrocks on top. Kind of messily just adding some of the dark gold in there. I'm not getting too detailed. Just a little dab of color inside those. And I think that just adds a little more dimension to the coin itself, so they don't look so flat. You can really see it as it dries there. You can see where the darkness is on the coin. So it looks super light right now. I might come back in with more darkness, but like I said, start light and then work your way. Then let's add a little dark to our horseshoe, kind of thinking about where the shadow would be opposite of wherever your light is. My light's up over here, so the shadow is going to be on the right side of the pieces. Kind of a line right here. And then underneath here. Now remember, if you don't like your shadowing, you can always go back over it with paint and then the original gold and kind of soften it out. Okay? Alright. Next, I'm going to add some stripes to my hat here. And I'm just going to take, you know what, I didn't even use the Peaceful Forest. I thought I used the light green, but I think I just added white to it. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. So I'm going to take some of my original green off to the side. I'm going to grab some white. And then with my brush here, I'm just going to bring some stripes in my band. They don't have to be perfect. And especially around here, we're going to cover that up with the buckle. Okay? We're not going to do any special techniques with the end of the rainbow. That just gets glued on. With the sign here, we don't do anything. But let's add some highlights to our shamrock here, just by grabbing a little bit of white and a quick little swish of paint. We can add some highlights to these little leaves. All right, so let's talk about this little guy here. This is your pouncer, and we are going to, let me get a little, oh, I do have green out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it into my original green, and then I'm going to drop it into my white, and then swirl it on my plate here. And that's going to give me a lighter green. And I don't completely mix it. You can if you want just a solid color of a polka dot, but I like to kind of mix it up, and it kind of has a swirl when I go and place it. So as I place it down, I press lightly and then I twist my pouncer. And I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. There's like a dark area and a light area, and I absolutely love that for polka dots. So that's how I did that. And then I just give it a little twist. It's not a real heavy press. Just a little light press. I'm gonna add some polka dots. There we go. Isn't that fun? And then you can wash this and reuse this for another project if you want, or if you don't need it anymore, you can toss it. I don't want to lose it in my cup here. All right. And you're welcome to add polka dots really anywhere you want. Add it to the sign. Okay. Where are we at? Perfect. All right, so we've got our details. We have just a few more things I want to do. I want to darken up my shadows just a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to my gold and brown mix and add just a little more brown. And come in and add just a little more dark. This is totally optional. But I want it to look like old coins, possibly. Okay. Add a little dark under here on my buckle. Okay. I'm going to come in with some white on the tops of these coins and bring in a highlight line. Bring it white onto the buckle. I'm going to paint these little seams, or I know they're not stitching, but they're the little rectangles on the horseshoe. I'm going to paint those white. And I'm going to add some highlights to my horseshoe. I'm going to add some highlights to the top of my hat here. And then we're going to get a little bit of black out for some detail lines, and we are good. I try not to get too crazy with the detail lines. I don't want to just outline everything, but I like to just kind of keep it random and throw in some lines here and there around the pieces. There we go. All right, we are done, ready to glue up. So let's get our base here. We'll start with the end of the rainbow, actually. When you're taking your pieces off, especially delicate pieces, I recommend flipping them over like this and holding finding the end, holding it with your finger, and pulling away the paint or the tape, as opposed to pulling the pieces off the tape. This just helps keep your piece flat on a steady surface, and it eliminates possible breakage a little bit more. So flip them over and then go that route. Another little thing I like to do is I like to create a pool for my paint or for my pieces to dip them in. It's a little bit easier than trying to put glue on the backs of these. I end up always hitting my fingers. So I drop it and then I pick it up and kind of tap. And then this way also allows me to just get a small amount of glue and not big globs of it. Remember, as you're placing your pieces, move them around so you can see from all angles to make sure that you put it in the right spot. Sometimes if you get too much glue, your pieces can kind of float and move as you're working. So also keep an eye on that. And if you know you've put a lot of glue on a piece, oops, you want to keep an eye on it throughout the process. Well, I ended up getting glue on my fingers anyways. There we go. And then I just give them a good press down and we're good there. So I hope you guys are able to find time to get crafty. It looks like you guys are having fun. Again, let me know if there's anything that can be better with this. And I think I forgot a piece on this one. That little topper. The little topper. Don't forget the topper, guys. Just gonna get a little bit on my baby wipe there and get that piece that sticks up past the sign there. There we go. Making sure it all lines up from all angles. This is the slot that sits in your base, so make sure that this, the bottom of your coins, is sitting flush here. There we go. Alright. I'm going to let this sit up for just a minute before I start attaching the coins to the back. I don't want anything to fall, but while I'm waiting for that, let's take your coin, take your jute, fold it in half. With this folded piece here, we're going to go into the opening to the back. Once you get there, open that loop. Then we're going to take our tails up and over to the back through the loop and then give them a pull. This is called a slip knot, or I think it's a lark heads knot. But that allows your tag to sit flat. And then I'm going to put a knot on the back side of it just to help hold it on my piece. And there we go. All right, so let's just see here. I kind of just placed these like this, and then I went, oh, that looks good. Kind of wanted them kind of peeking up over this mound. So I kind of place them where I want. Then I'm going to put a dot of glue here and here where I know it's going to be covered. It's all right if they get moved around just a little bit more. And then I'm just going to hold that there. There we go. And you could flip it around and do it that way as well. But there we go. There is our lucky U. So this can sit like right here where this is. You could loop it around your horseshoe. However you want to do that. This is going to sit in here. And I put that on. And slide that in. And there we go. That is our Lucky You Over the Rainbow insert for February. Perfect for March coming up. Let me know if you guys have any questions or any issues. But there we are. You can see a little bit of a difference there. It's a little bit of a darker green. I kind of like it. There you go. And now it sits. One thing somebody mentioned in the group was that they had to sand their piece because their tab didn't, I better take that out, it's not completely dry. Their tab didn't fit into the new one. So yes, sand back here if you need to. This is the easiest spot to sand if it's not going to fit. Now what happens sometimes is I buy the same thickness of wood, but sometimes depending on the moisture in the wood or whatnot, this can expand just ever so slightly and not fit. So keep that in mind. If you're having a hard time getting it in, sand back here, you're good to go. But that is something that just kind of happens with wood every once in a while. So hopefully it's not too often. All right, guys, there it is. Thanks for watching. We'll get the complete version posted on on YouTube. So if you want to watch it there, you can. And I'm sorry for the issues, but hopefully this zoomed in is a little bit easier to see now. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later and have a great day. Bye.